Hey guys, welcome back. So in today's video I'm going to be doing my review of episode 1 and 2, The War Between the Land and the Sea. It is slightly delayed, as I said in my last video. Unfortunately I was at my work Christmas meal, so I wasn't able to watch the episode on the day, so I had to watch it the next day, and I haven't been able to do my review sooner because, as you might tell from my voice, I have got a bit of a cold at the moment, so the odds haven't been in my favour. However, I really look forward to getting into the review, so let's get into it. Starting off with the main characters, we'll talk about Barclay. To be honest, I haven't warmed to him particularly. However, I don't dislike him either. I probably like him more than I don't like him, but it's still very early days for me, to be fair. He's a cool character, but that's about it for me, really. I do like certain things. I do like how he went rogue and how he wasn't talking like a politician, like Salt said. But apart from that, I wouldn't actually say there's a great deal for me personally to say about Barclay. I do like how he showed that sign of respect, and then that's why they chose him. That makes sense, and I really do like how he did do that, because it shows that he is a good person, and he probably is one of the best people to speak on behalf of humanity out of that room of people there. So I really do like that part of it. But yeah, him himself, he's okay, but for me at the moment, not anything particularly special. Then you've got Salt as well. I do really like her character. There's some interesting things about her character, like how she could switch from male to female. That was quite unexpected and quite weird and odd in a way. Very interesting how they could do that. I think there are certain fish species that can actually do that, so that was really cool. And then you've also got the pearl thing, which is a way that you sort of communicate like a hive mind. That is really cool as well. So I like how these have sort of evolved to do these certain things that humanity can't do. So that's really cool. Salt does seem like an interesting character. I would say as a character she's doing really well, but I don't really like her, obviously, because obviously I feel like it's us versus them. However, I do really agree with what she did about returning the pollution to us and all of the plastic. I thought that was absolutely brilliant, and I do really agree with her doing that. I think that was the right thing to do, to be fair. So yeah, as those two characters, in terms of them, yeah, not too much to say really. I'm hoping as we sort of get the next two episodes on Sunday that I can sort of get into them a bit more and just see where I really stand with them. I must admit as well, I'm quite mixed on the unit team as well, which I wasn't expecting. I feel like Kate, although this is a serious situation, so she's going to be more serious, for me feels like a completely different character. The only time she doesn't feel different was when she was actually at home. But then saying that, that scene between her and Colonel Ibrahim, that felt really wrong. It just felt so wrong to see that sort of thing, because you would never sort of see that thing in Doctor Who. So for me, it just felt so wrong. It was like seeing them in bed as well. That just felt really wrong. So all of that just feels so wrong, to be honest. It was quite uncomfortable in a way watching that, because it just doesn't sit right with me. And yeah, when sort of Kate is sort of at the Home Office, I just feel like she just doesn't seem herself. Like, you know, when she's in the unit tower, she'd be calling Shirley, obviously Shirley, which is calling her Miss Bingham. It just doesn't feel like the same relationship she has with them. So it feels like they're alien characters in a way. Shirley I haven't seen too much of to be able to say anything. I think she's fairly the same. Colonel Ibrahim, fairly the same as well, but the whole dynamic just feels really different. Probably a bit too different for me. It feels a bit alien. So for me, in a way, it doesn't feel like they're the same characters. So quite unusual. But I do like, in a way, how Kate is sort of taking on the role of the Doctor in a sense. You know, as she said, she's seen ordinary people do amazing things, but that's when they had the help of the Doctor. This is the same situation where Barclay's going to do amazing things, hopefully, but with the help of Kate. So I do like how Kate is sort of like the Doctor, or will be the Doctor in that sense. That's really cool. But yeah, in terms of the sort of unit team, yeah, just not completely sold on them. I like to see them sort of, I would say I like to see them be a bit more like they are in Doctor Who, but I do actually doubt that. So yeah, it's a shame that anyway. But apart from that, it's great to have the unit team in it, and to have sort of like, in a way, a unit spin-off, obviously, because we had Children of Earth, which was tortured, so it's great to see them sort of have their own sort of spin-off thing. It's also great to see, you know, Kate and Colonel Ibrahim's relationship evolve, even though I don't really like actually seeing it, if that makes sense. Also, I wasn't very keen on them making Kate Stewart say S-H-I-T. Again, she's such a Doctor Who character. It just feels so wrong. Like, you wouldn't ever see a companion or the Doctor swear. So to actually see her basically do it as well just felt so wrong, and it felt a bit unnecessary as well. So although they are trying to make it a bit more like an adult-themed spin-off, I don't like those elements. It's because they're such Doctor Who characters for me. It's like, you know, when Gwen Cooper would sort of swear or anything like that, you were sort of used to that because that was tortured. Although you had Captain Jack do it, but Captain Jack was the type of person to sort of do that. For me, Kate just seems more professional, and it just doesn't sit right with me. So yeah, very mixed on the characters so far, to be completely honest. Keeping Tortured in mind, it's great to see it happening in the same universe. Of course it will, because this is the Whoniverse, but it's great to see it sort of happening at the same place. Great to see the General is actually the same character. That's a character we never thought we'd really see again in a spin-off, so that's a nice treat. But talking about that, I would have liked to have at least seen a mention of the 456. I would have expected it by now, and I'm hoping we will, but it's looking unlikely. Only because they're having a meeting with an alien species in the same building with one of the same characters. I would have thought for sort of like the long-term fans there would have at least been a mention of the 456, so I'm slightly disappointed that we haven't received that yet, and it is looking a bit unlikely, but unfortunately that's the way it seems to be going at the moment. Also, considering the Doctor's been mentioned twice now, I would have thought it would have at least been mentioned once, but there we are, never mind. And talking of the Doctor, I must admit, that scene with Barclay where he said, the Doctor said hello to him once, and he's thought of that moment every single second of every single day, sounds completely forced. It just does not sit right with me. Of course, we know what the Doctor's like, where he's met people and they've thought about him for the rest of their lives. You've seen that in sort of A Good Man Goes to War. That makes sense, but for him just to say hello, and then Barclay saying he's thought about that moment every single second of every single day, just feels such a stretch, especially because it was only a hello. If it was a chat, then I could understand, but hello? For me personally, it doesn't sit right with me. I'd love to know what you guys think, so let me know in the comments below. But for me, it just felt so forced, and I just thought, yeah, I genuinely can't believe that, to be honest. This might just be me, of course, because I imagine all of you are long-term Doctor Who fans, but I was quite impatient for the first half of episode 1, because I wanted to get straight into the action, but of course, the context needs to be laid down for new viewers, or people who aren't really used to the Whoniverse itself. So for me, I was quite impatient with it, I must admit, although it is good that they were laying the context down as well. I probably wasn't satisfied until the Homo Aqua started rising out of the sea itself, and I thought that was my favourite scene, because not only did it look really scary, but I thought the voices of the Sea Devils was really scary as well. I just thought they'd done so well with that, and that's probably one of the scariest things to come out of the Whoniverse in many years, I would say, because I was scared as an adult, so I could imagine me watching that as a kid. That would have terrified me. So yeah, that was a great scene, but I was quite impatient for the first half of it, I will admit. Also, the first scene of the spin-off as well, I did enjoy as well. I liked how that sort of started the war when they accidentally fished out the Homo Aqua, or the Sea Devil. Although it wasn't right, I can understand why they shot it, because that was terrifying. Could you imagine you're a fisherman and you pull out all these fish and then that is screaming at you? It is quite horrifying, so it is understandable where they were coming from. Of course, it doesn't make it right. Then you've got the TARDIS sequence as well, quite cool, nothing overly special, but yeah, cool but nothing overly special, I would say, for the titles. Just emphasising the Homo Aqua design, I do really love it. Again, I love the original, but I do love this new redesign. A lot scarier and very cool, so whenever we get the Sea Devils or Homo Aqua in the future, I would be happy to see either design, to be honest. They did also show us some designs of what was a possibility of what we could have. They were quite cool, reminds me a bit of Wizards vs Aliens, but I'm very happy they settled on this design, because this was a lot scarier, and I'd rather they either go for the original Sea Devil design or the new one. So quite cool. And I must admit, I also do like the inclusion of the big fish. I'd love to see them play a bigger part than just sort of that brief appearance. Otherwise it wasn't particularly necessary, but quite cool that we had them included as well, because I wasn't really expecting that, so that was quite cool, and to sort of show that sort of the underwater world is quite connected, which is nice. As mentioned earlier, my favourite scene of the episode 2, obviously, that I mentioned earlier, was when the plastic was falling from the sky. Like I said, I agree with Salt. It does make perfect sense, and we do deserve it, to be fair, so I completely agreed with it, and I just thought it looked really cool. Absolutely love that. I also really like the scene where Salt gets them to get some water from the river and told him to drink that. I felt that that was where it was going. Absolutely brilliant as well, because it just comes to show, because if you think about it, that water, that is what us humans expect Homo Aqua to live in. And I must admit, I also thought they're sort of halving it by 2065. Expectation was completely ridiculous. Halving it by 2065, that's no effort at all. So it just comes to show. But I did love all of that. I just thought it was so relevant, and, you know, to see that water and getting him to drink it and he wouldn't, just comes to show. So yeah, they have done some really clever things, Homo Aqua, to be fair. They're not stupid, and they're clearly making a point, and they're doing very well with it as well, so I do really enjoy all of that. Also, the subtle placements of like the water bottle in the sea in the first scene, and then also the plastic bag floating around. Great sort of subtle placements of plastic and how it's everywhere. Really enjoyed seeing that as well. I hope that sort of continues as well throughout the series. And then talking about something else as well, which I've quite enjoyed, was actually how they've forbidden us from not only using water as sort of transportation, but also the sky above it. A really interesting concept, and I'd love to see the effect of that, because especially like the character said in the series itself, we're an island nation, so we'd be completely cut off. It's not like we're part of Europe, which is connected to a load of other countries. We are literally an island, and that's it. Especially for something like Ireland, they're even smaller. So that's really cool. I really like that, and I'd love to see the effect of that as well. Personally, if I was the humans, what I would I don't know how manageable this would be, but I would negotiate saying, fine, we'll meet you in the middle. We won't travel by sea, because that's yours, but the sky above it, we should be allowed for now until we can work something out, or permanently be able to use the sky. Yeah, again, it does make sense, Homo Aqua, but that was completely unreasonable, especially for the modern world. That would probably cripple us as a nation, because, you know, we rely so heavily on exports and imports and all sorts of things. So some really interesting concepts that I'm really enjoying. But I felt like Homo Aqua's sort of request there, or sort of demand rather, was quite unreasonable, to be fair. In terms of the viewing figures, it's great to see it was up from Series 1 and 2, and some of the highest overnight viewing figures, apart from the Christmas specials, highest of Series 1 and Series 2, so it's great that it's beating that. Great to show that spin-off can be successful, and I'm really looking forward to seeing the sort of 7-day figures as well, especially because there are people like myself who couldn't watch it on the night, so I'm hoping that's going to be fairly high. I feel like there is a bit of interest in this spin-off, which is absolutely brilliant. Really cool to see that, and yeah, I think it was said that it's probably one of the BBC's biggest dramas of the year, which is quite cool. So yeah, I feel like it's been a success so far, which is really great as well. Talking about one other thing as well, talking about Sea Devils and all of that, I also did watch the re-edit of the 1972 The Sea Devils story. I must admit, I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought it was, probably because, unlike the War Games and the Daleks, because it was already in colour, I feel like there wasn't as much effort, or it didn't look like as much effort went into it. Especially with the War Games, they put lots of music over it, and they coloured it, it looked great, whereas this one, it just felt like they'd shortened it, and that was about it, really. I think they added a bit of music, but I couldn't really tell what else they did. I mean, the editing was really good, because I could follow along the full story. I couldn't even really remember what they edited out, to be fair, but it just felt like they didn't include much. I think they sort of might have included a CGI shot of the Sea Devil base, or the oil rig, or something like that, but apart from that, I don't feel like they added too much. I did like how they put in the end of the title sequence, the sort of modern, updated version as they did for the War Games, but then again, I feel like they just cut that and put it at the end of the episode from the War Games. I feel like, although they might have not included the title sequence at the beginning for time, they could have at least done a modern version of the beginning anyway. So I feel like this one, not to sound horrible, it was a bit slightly lazier. So yeah, I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would, but great that they've sort of edited it down for people who want to sort of watch it in a 90-minute stint, to be fair. So yeah, great that they've got it. You know, you can't complain that they've done more Doc 2, but yeah, it just wasn't as enjoyable as I thought it would be. Interesting to see they put the Hooniverse at the front of that as well when it first went on TV. Don't remember seeing that for the War Between the Land and the Sea. I might be wrong there, I'll have to double check that. But interesting to see that they're still using the Hooniverse. I imagine that, you know, Disney didn't own that Hooniverse sort of name anyway. But interesting to see that they're still using that, to be fair. Overall, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. Not particularly high. I feel like 6 would be too low. 7 feels more fitting, but I feel like 7 is fairly high. I'm just not settled on the vibe, to be fair. I haven't bonded with any characters in particular, and I feel like there isn't as much action as I thought there would be. So far, although it makes sense, I just feel like there's a lot of the story taking place in the sort of conference room. I just feel like I'd love to see more action. I feel like as we go into the next few episodes, it's looking likely. Obviously, Barclay's going to be going underwater to meet them, and then I think a war does sort of start to break out. So I'm looking forward to seeing that, because the first 2 episodes have just felt a bit too conference-y, and not as much action as I'd like to see, to be honest. So I'm hoping they sort of ramp that up throughout the next episodes. But yeah, at the moment I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. I'm hoping I'm sort of bond with the characters a bit more, get sort of used to the vibe, because I'm still not certain with the vibe as well. I just sort of, I'm not vibing with it, if that makes sense in a way. So I'm enjoying it. I look forward to seeing the next 2 episodes, but I'd like to see some things sort of improve, and I just sort of like to bond with the characters a bit more to be able to fully enjoy it. So I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10, because I'm not completely sold, but that might just be me. Yeah, I just feel like, for me, it's not where it could be anyway, and not where it should be. So I'm hoping when we get episode 3 and 4, it'll be a lot better, and I'm hoping that at the time I'll be really looking forward to the last part. But yeah, so far, just not bonds with the characters, and looking forward to them doing some different things, really. But they're just my opinions. What I'd love to know is what you guys think. What do you think of the War Between the Land and the Sea? Are you really enjoying it? Are there a couple of things you'd like improvement of, like I am? What do you think? So let me know in the comments below, because I'd love to hear it. As always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and hopefully see you in my next video soon. Thank you all for watching, and take care.